Alright, so we're on our final step here. We've cleaned the cast iron pan in the oven. We soaked it in vinegar, scrubbed it, got rid of the rust. So now we need to apply the new seasoning, which is going to make it non-stick. So we had it in the oven at 375, just making sure the rust didn't come back. So the pan is going to be hot still. But again, here's our pan. So all we're going to do, and there's a lot of people online that use different things for this. For seasoning, I'm just going to use canola oil. It's kind of like when you're spray painting. We don't want a lot on, so we're going to dump some in, we're going to work it around the pan, and then we're going to get a towel and wipe everything else clean here and try to get up as much oil as possible. Dump some oil in. We're just gonna rub it into the skillet, and it pretty much soaks up the oil right away because we're working with raw iron here. We want to make sure we're getting every space. So you're gonna probably go through several different towels here. And the more seasoning we put on, the cleaner the towels become. Back and sides real quick. Working even into the hard to reach areas. You can see that some of that rust kind of coming back, but this will pull some of it off. Put a little bit more oil on. Work this around. Missed any spots here. The handle's going to be the trickiest spot to get because there's some nooks and crannies in there, so I want to try to make sure we cover the entire pot. All right. Final step is just going to take a clean paper towel and try to wipe up as much oil as possible. You can see what's pulling up already. You'll see as we go through these videos here, paper towel is gonna get cleaner and cleaner. Wipe down the top, wiping down the sides. Trying to pull up as much oil as we can. So you can kind of see the difference already. From when we pulled it out of the oven to now, there's kind of a matte black look. So I'm gonna throw it back in the oven, and then I'm just gonna crank the heat up to 475. And let this run for an hour, and we'll pull it out after an hour and kind of look at it then. All right, so the pan's been in the oven for an hour now. Turn it off, let it cool down a little bit, but it's still warm. When you season your cast iron, you're always going to want it to be a little warm because the iron, when it's warm, will absorb more oil. So Just letting you check out the pan right now. It's that dull, matte black finish. And so what we're just going to do is the exact same thing we did the first time around. Throw in some oil. Whatever we don't use, we'll get up with the second wipe. So we just want to make sure we're covering the whole inside and outside of the skillet at this stage. As you can see, the towel compared to the first time around, it's not pulling off as much anymore, which is what we want to see. And then the third time we season this is going to be even less. So flipping it over, get in oil on the back side as well. Getting all the sides. And then the handle as well, which, like I said the first time around, kind of tricky to do. Again, you can see the oil still kind of glistening on it, so you're going to get a fresh rag. And just like we did the first time around, just going to wipe this thing down, picking up as much of the oil as possible. Nicole, did I give the spray paint analogy? So putting on the oil is kind of like when you're spray painting. You want multiple thin coats. If you put a lot on at one time and you don't do it, you're doing right now, which is wiping it off, then you'll see what you do when you spray paint heavily on a piece of furniture and the paint kind of runs all over, and the oil does the same thing. It gets pretty gloppy on the inside of the pan and starts becoming a sticky mess, so we don't want that on this thing. So again, wiping it up. Go around the top and especially inside these little edges where it kind of hangs out. Alright, so this is after the second time. We're going to throw it in there and we're going to do this process. I think we're going to shoot for about 5 times on this pan. Some people say you only have to do it once, twice, and just start cooking with it. I like to throw it on several times and provide more layers of oil just to make sure that it's non-stick. So again, back into the oven, throwing it on, put it up at 475 again. We'll just cook it for an hour. And instead of you watching the video on this for a few more times, again, I'm going to do it 5 times total. I'll show you what it looks like at the end. Okay, so we've done 3 seasonings so far. Flip this camera around here. Get the pan out. See how it looks. Let's see if we can zoom in here. You might not be able to catch it with the camera. Catch it with the naked eye. They're starting to become little oil freckles around the pan. I think that's a decent shot where it's a little bit darker, little darker spots. And the more coats of seasoning you throw on, the more of those oil freckles will start appearing, which is a good thing. So that's after 3. We're going to do the same thing that we did for the first 3 seasonings, which is Throw on some oil, top, bottom, rub it off, and then put it back in the oven at 475 and let it bake for another hour. So I'll show you after number 5. All right, so we've seasoned the pan 5 times, and this is how the pan looks. Still has that dull matte finish to it. And so last step, the pan's still warm from the oven. It's going to throw in a little more of the canola oil that we use to season it, and this will give it that nice shiny coat. You're rubbing this all over the inside. Making sure to get the handle as well. Want the whole thing to be shiny. Flipping it over. White coat on the back and the outsides as well. Underside of the handle as well, so the whole skillet is coated with a light coating of oil. That's the finished product, the Erie 8-inch skillet. It's ready for use.